Hello again, everybody. This is the Freelance Teacher from thefreelanceteacher.com, and I'm Doug Marola talking to you again from my very bright outdoor studio. Really impressive, bright sunlight in December, almost December anyway. It's the end of November 2017. But I did want to tell you about one of my clients. I really think of them as students, but I mean, this was a client who paid me to come work with him on the ACT. And the interesting part of this is the score, for one thing. This young man got a 35 out of 36 on the reading comprehension section of the exam. Now that is exceedingly impressive. I mean, what it means is, of the 40 questions on the exam, you got all 40, maybe one wrong depending upon the curve of the test. 35 out of 36 on the reading comprehension means that you basically did it perfectly. You're in the 99th percentile, and that's just off the charts. So this guy is in rarefied air. Now here's the weird part, kind of the interesting part, is that I didn't work with him at all, not for a second, on that section of the test. He and I only worked on the English part of the test. Now you'd wonder why, and it shows you how interesting people are. This young man was scoring well on the English, or I'm sorry, on the reading comprehension part of the exam, but not on the English part. And that's where I came in. He and I worked for a good number of weeks, probably 2.5 months or so, on only the English part of the exam. Now, it's kind of strange how can someone perform so well, and he had in the past, not a 35, but done very well on the reading comprehension, but not been able to do the same kind of level score, the same kind of amazing, just blowout exam score on the English part, which is grammar and mechanics, 40 questions, and then 35 questions of rhetorical skills. It's kind of strange. So this guy had gotten, I think he had topped out at a 26. And it's hard to move up on the ACT because the scoring scale is so little. The top score is a 36. So to move up points, you've got to really hustle. So the part that we had prepped was the English part, and he had scored very well with a 28, which was a career high. So he was very happy. The household was very happy. Mom very happy, and his the super score for his ACT is now 32. But my point is that sometimes it makes sense to really focus only on where you are not doing so well. And it's kind of a strange message because you get so many different bits of advice from so many different people. It's really hard to figure out, well, what should I do? What should I do with my career? What should I do in school? When high school is over, what am I supposed to do? And, it's tough sometimes to try to figure it out. It's difficult to navigate. Should you do what is great, what's already in your wheelhouse, what you're already great at? Or should you do something where you're kind of lacking, where it's not really working? And this family, great family, hired me to work with their son, right, this kid, young man really, on only the weakest part of his exam. Just that, nothing else. And it worked. It worked like a charm, and everyone comes out happy, and the college applications will go out, and the scores will come in. The scores that had come in will go out with them, and it's a success story. But it really shows you how you have to not necessarily just follow one bit of advice, because you hear things like do what you love. Do what you really love. Well, I don't think that's great advice at all. And I know it's not great advice for everybody, because if you love physics, someone who's talented in the hard sciences and exceedingly bright in something like physics is going to get recruited by other industries just because they know that person is a top flight intellect. You think I'm playing? I have a buddy I went to high school with, majored in pharmacy major. Was near the top, academic star, great math scores, pharmaceutical stuff, at a good school. You know what he did after he was done at the university? He went into banking. Why? Because he got recruited by a top flight banking firm that did not care that he was, not in finance. They didn't care. What were they looking for? They were looking for someone who was bright and would work hard and could learn. That's a true story. That's somebody I know. And that's what he got recruited for. And now he's an entrepreneur and does all kinds of stuff. But, I mean, the differences and the various levels and shades and the way, the vagaries, to use kind of an old word, that are part of our lives are weird. So you can't really just follow one bit of advice. Some of them sound good, but you've got to tailor it to what you're all about and where you are. Work on your weaknesses. That's kind of the message for this one. This young guy worked on only, with me, the weak part of his test. And it worked out like a charm. It worked out. So, when you're taking an exam, when you're trying to figure out what to do, when you're looking at all of your subjects and trying to raise your GPA, if you're trying to raise your GPA in school, go to the scores that are the lowest and work harder in those subjects. Seems like pretty standard stuff to me. But that's dealing with school. This was dealing with an exam. What are you doing with your career? Well, however you manage to defeat or tackle or take on hard exams or difficult classes, those techniques probably aren't going to be the greatest techniques to figure out what you're going to do for your career. Most people do something that they maybe like okay, but if they had to say they don't like it, but they plug away, they go to work, they get up in the morning, they make what they can. Now, they'll complain. I see all kinds of complaints on Facebook, but I have a lot of respect. I have a lot of former students as friends on Facebook. I have a ton of respect for those people who they'll complain about their salary. They are probably not overly well paid. They struggle to some degree. Again, I've been in this business long enough that I have students who are in their late 30s with children. But these people complain about their jobs, but they get up and they go to work and they support themselves and or their children and or families. Now, that respect doesn't pay the rent. That respect isn't paying their mortgage. But as a person, you sure do want respect, right? Don't tell me that, oh, well, that's just respect. Who cares? Really? Would you rather be disrespected? Somebody else's respect for you means nothing? Okay. Well, I mean, if that's how you think, you're going to have a pretty lonely life. And you know what? Let's face it. A lot of people, that may be it. That may be all they get. Well, I have respect of peers, right? I have respect of people who know me. That's how that might go. That's how it goes sometimes. So, and it's really a roll of the dice. But let's say I were to hit it big. Let's say my ship comes in. I know right away who I would go after in terms of helping me out. In terms of, let me bring in this person. I know they're good at this skill, and I'm doing my online business, or I'm doing my podcast, or I'm doing my video cast like the ones I'm doing now for you. I would go to those people first, without a doubt. Those people who plug hard, stick to their knitting, don't quit. That stuff matters. And that's really, and this will be my last quick point, that's the part that is such a rancid, cancerous part of academia these days. When you get to the university, in the humanities in particular, literature, art, things like that, history, it's all social justice warrior foolishness, where guess what? Your race, class, or gender are the things that are holding you back. And only people who are white, male, heterosexual people, they have everything handed to them. And if you're not one of those people, then you are a victim and you are oppressed and you should be angry. Okay. I mean, all right. And don't tell me that's not what they do at the universities these days. Right? You want to comment and say they don't? Prove it. Right? For every example of yours, I'll give you 10 of this foolishness I'm talking about. And I have students who just started at university. And that's all they talk about. So, all right. And I've said this before. Let's say that race, class, gender, social justice warrior nonsense is all true. Let's say I give that to you. Now what? You going to use that to pay your bills? Are you going to write a check to Con Ed and say, here, take this empty check? I'm just going to write the amount on it. There's no funds in the bank, but I've been, you know, my ancestors 250 years ago were oppressed. Maybe they were. Might be true in a lot of cases. Does it pay the bills? What marketable skill is present with that? So this is the kind of complicated navigational way, the kind of labyrinth that's thrown at you as a high school student and then going to a university or going into the world of work. So you need to interpret bits of advice that multiple people give you, listen to a lot of it, maybe all of it, and then you, through your filter, you have to trust yourself, take the things that work, use them, take the things that don't work, and get rid of them. Talk to you next time.